Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Happy Tuesday. I'm getting some feedback. Are you?
No.
Okay, it stopped. All right. Don't know what happened.
Was it good feedback or not good feedback? You know, I don't want to start the show off getting.
I believe bad feedback would be criticism, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just feedback.
Yeah, good point. All right. So how are you today?
Doing very well, thanks. And
good.
Yourself?
I'm okay. It's Tuesday. Got a lot going on today, which you know for me is good.
It's a good sign. Means you must have filled your day pack yesterday.
I filled my day pack yesterday. I got a couple of meetings too. So I've got a full day, which is my favorite thing in the world.
You didn't overschedule, did you?
No, I did not. I've got a couple of gaps. I even built a gap in for lunch, which I have not been doing. That's and good. I've learned my lesson.
That's good. It'd be a good chance for you to figure out if you have underestimated the time that things take to happen today.
So many lessons to learn.
Always
and if you don't know about our day pack, put a note in the comments and we'll be happy to send you some information about what the day pack is. Or you can go back to our discussion. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, right, Tom? Or we walked through, or was it last week?
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
I think it was 2 weeks as well. Yeah. So
yeah.
Just real quick, day pack is a way Tom and I have come across working with people and seeing how things work for ourselves, where you can better prioritize tasks and build them into your daily calendar so that you can actually be taking the steps that you really do want to take to achieve the goal that you set for yourself.
Very well described.
Yeah, I like that. You know, you said yesterday when we were talking off camera that one of the things that we've done over the last year and a half is talk through these things so much on here that we start to, it improves our language. It really does.
Well, don't you find that that's usually the case, is that the more you have conversations around communication around anything that you're trying to deal with, that you find some clarity. It may be the clarity is that you don't see eye to eye, or maybe like, oh yeah, we're in lockstep with this, but at least you have a better understanding rather than being uncertain.
Right. I think that's what I liked about networking events. It gave you a great test market for language.
Sure.
And you could just say something and be like, if 5 people came up to you afterwards, like, hey, I want to know more. All right, that's a good message. If you spoke and people were like checking their phone and having little side discussions, you knew that you weren't resonating.
Sure. You were or they were just so focused on what they were going to say that they missed an opportunity to really pay attention, which is an interesting, that's the topic of our conversation today is focus. We'll be talking about, yesterday we introduced the concept of the Renegade 4F's. And I had somebody actually email me this morning being like, I was intrigued by the 4F's. I'd like to learn more about that. I thought that
nice.
So today we're going to talk about the first one of those 4, and that's focus. And before we get to that, we have to start with what we always do, is celebrations. First, though, I should just say this is today's antidote. If you weren't well aware and you were listening on the podcast and somehow this started up on your phone and you're not quite sure why, and these two guys are talking into your ear. It is kind of funny because the kind of way people get this, unless they're on Twitter or YouTube, they kind of have intentionally found it and selected.
Yes.
So anyhow, we just want to make sure that if anyone's listening for the first time, they are clear. So we'll have a conversation around a topic. The topic today is the Renegade 4F's and focus. And then at the end, we'll provide our one thing. We would love your comments if you are watching this, or if you are listening this on the podcast. We'd love you to rate our show.
5 stars.
Thank you, Bob. And also share it with others who you think might find value in the conversations that we have. And what's amazing to me is we just never know who's going to find value in the things that we share, which is why it's so important that we continue to share. Why we have chosen to share for 435 episodes.
Wow.
Crazy, isn't it? Every time I change the number for the date on the graphic, I'm like, what the heck? Anyhow.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the woman was celebrating 400 episodes over 10 years. And she was going like, I can't believe we did 400 episodes. I'm thinking, we'd lap you so many times in 10 years.
Correct.
But she was celebrating 400. I'm like, I kind of know what she feels, but we did it much more quickly than she did. But still, it's a lot of content.
It's a lot of talking. Scary to think how much we've talked on this show in the last 4 years.
Well, 20 minutes times 400, right? So that's 8,000 minutes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a minimum.
Yes. Yes, indeed. All right, so let's move on from that. That's scary to think about in a lot of ways. So the first thing we always do on the show is we celebrate. What are you celebrating today, Bob?
I had 2 instances yesterday where clients of mine made discoveries that I had been trying to help them find for months. And in both cases, it was just so exciting to hear them just get it. I wanted to say, that's what I've been trying to tell you for the last 3 months, or that's what I knew you'd get there one day, but it takes us all the time it takes us to get somewhere. And it was just really, it made me feel good to know that they got what we had been working on and it finally clicked for them. And you can't make it click for a person, it ain't quicker or slower. It's just, there's the day where they get it. And I think if you're blessed enough for them to share with you that day, like, wait, I think I just figured something out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. So I'm celebrating that.
Excellent. I like that. So I'm going to celebrate that. I'm looking forward today to having a conversation with a new client. We have a strategic plan. And one of the reasons I'm celebrating that is there's someone who pretty much has said in some of our earlier discussions, they're not really big on this whole strategic plan process. That they've done it a couple of times. It just really hasn't been very effective. And, once or twice it's gone okay. So I kind of like the fact that there's a little challenge on my hands to ensure that they find value in the planning process that we're going to go through over the next probably 4 to 6 months. So
makes you step up your game a little bit, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think that my game has stepped up. I think that I know that the way I approach it is unique. No one else is going to do it like me. And I think that there are things that I see in other organizations' strategic plans that have a really good opportunity to lead to them not being as effective as they could be. Things like the goals that they set aren't measurable.
Right.
We're going to increase that. We're going to do that. We're going to achieve. Some of those things you can't measure. And they have no timelines attached to them. And so, if you don't have a timeline, how do you know when to measure it and when to determine whether you are making progress the way you wanted to, so that when you complete this, you can complete whatever is next. And I think every time I see strategic plans that look like that, I'm like, yeah, that's not good. And I think the other key thing is a follow-up plan. So it's, it's a lot of the pieces to it that ultimately the person has to determine, the organization has to determine. Again, it's one of those things, what do we control? I can help them control putting together as good a strategic plan as we can that has measurables, that has dates and when they're going to measure those things or evaluate the progress, that has timelines and when they want to achieve it. It's still up to them to actually do the work. I can't do the work for them. So at some point, as long as I believe that I've done the best I can, that's all I can do. The rest is up to them.
Nice. Okay. Well, Tom, I think we should celebrate the national celebration today.
What is the nation celebrating today?
it is National Pumpkin Day. Now, I don't know why it would be today, not the 31st. I just think that that is a miscalculation somewhere, but today is National Pumpkin Day. So I will tell you, I'm not a big fan of pumpkin pie. I had a pumpkin muffin over the weekend. I was not very impressed. I don't like pumpkin latte. I don't like pumpkin anything. All that pumpkin stuff, I'm not a big fan. So how about you? Are you a big pumpkin fan?
Not really. Yeah, I think it's the consistency of it, especially like pumpkin pies.
Yes.
It's not where I'm at with it. And I know a lot of people do love it. Can't wait for all the pumpkin flavors to come out and all of the fall food choices. People stand in line waiting for it. You know, and it's interesting. I think that probably today is Pumpkin Day because it's probably the day that pumpkins are, I don't know, maybe the ripest. And people are going to need a few days to carve them before Halloween.
Right.
Or to do whatever they want. And if you really want to enjoy pumpkin in the fall season, you know, by Halloween, not that
kind of late.
Yeah, you're getting closer to winter, depending, especially where you live. It was almost guaranteed when I lived in upstate New York that it would snow on Halloween. I would have bet that if I went back and thought about all the times I trick-or-treated, I bet 20 or 30% it snowed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Tom, we should probably get to our topic because I'm looking at the clock and I see we've meandered as we're prone to do. Okay. I'm sensitive to it today.
Well, must be your day. You did say your day is past.
No, I don't have anything. I don't know why. I'm just stressed about it today.
Are you trying to keep us focused?
Sure, Tom.
Because that is the topic of today is focus as a part of our Renegade.
That's funny from you and me. Their topic is focus. There's someone going, these guys have no focus. We actually do. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. Don't be so hard on us.
That's it. All right. I'll settle.
So anyhow, let's do a quick review, though, on the 4F's. Because you might be thinking, like, 4F's. That just gives me horrors thinking back to the night before report cards and that I was going to come home with a report card with 4F's on it. In this case, because we're renegades, we see 4F's as having real value and something that can really make a difference as we look at our professional life and also our personal lives if you choose to go that route. So the 4F's are focus, flexibility, freedom, and fun. We talked a lot about that. So if you missed some of that and you want to go back and figure it out, you can go back to yesterday's episode 344. Or sorry, 444. Switch things around. So, Bob, why don't you share some of your thoughts about focus and how this fits into the Renegade 4F's?
One of the most important things I had to discover in my business journey was that I had to create the focus for myself. When I became the person in charge of my company, the only person who could tell me what to do and prioritize was me. When I worked for other people, they often set the priority. Bob, need you to do these 4 things today. Bob, this is due next Tuesday. Bob, you're part of the team and the team's going to do this project. Those were very easy days because I knew what I was supposed to do and I wasn't responsible for deciding it. I was just implementing. When I started my first business, I remember realizing after about a couple of days, it's like, who's going to tell me what to do? I don't know what to do. I don't have a clue what to do. And it scared me. And so rather than figure out what to do that was productive, I went and I bought office supplies. I went and I talked to someone about opening a bank account. I went to the post office and got a P.O. box. I did all the things that I could do that required no real movement towards my goals. And when I think about focus, focus is doing the things that are necessary. Notice I use the word necessary to achieve the next step on your journey towards your goal. And that focus I have now because I have the day pack that I use each day. And it helps me figure out what that next step is. And then it's not that hard when you figure out the next step, what you have to do. hey, my next step is I need to get some new customers. Okay, I need to do some marketing, or I need to do some networking, or I need to go back to people I've worked with in the past and check in. Those are easy to figure out when we have the focus. How's that for a start?
That's good. No, I think there's a lot to unpack within focus. Because I think what you're sharing is right, is that
It's right?
It's real for you. Sorry. I caught myself. I was a little slow on that this morning.
It's just fun.
For those of you who don't know, or haven't listened to 435 episodes,
congrats to you.
Correct. That is right. Is something that I think it's all just real. It's what's real for each of us.
Right would be a judgment.
Right.
Whereas real is just the snapshot of the moment in time.
Results of the snapshot in the moment in time. Real is just this is what's real for me. Not necessarily that's
right. What makes sense to me in the moment.
Correct.
Yep.
So I think that there's one of the biggest challenges of focus is, do we know what our goal is? And are we laser focused on that? I think one of the challenges is I don't think we always identify what those goals look like. And I think especially if you're a new business owner, you may, it's funny, I was talking about strategic planning. You may not sit down and, maybe you have a business plan. Yet I think that's a lot about the operations of what you're trying to accomplish, the widget you're going to sell, the services you're going to provide. Not necessarily like, where are you trying to go? What are you trying to get to? It's like, I know what I want to do. I want to fix cars. Okay, great. So I open an auto shop. Well, why? And to what end are you trying to accomplish it? And I think that lacking that, it's really hard to have focus. Like, how do you know what the next step is going to be? And you might say, hey, you know what? If I'm, I know that I need a business, and I know that I need a PO box or someplace for people to sell mail, and I need a bank account to put money in. All those things that seem like they are helping you grow your business or set up your business, and yet aren't truly helping you move forward with what you're trying to accomplish. And so I think that once we can figure out where it is that we want to be and why we want to be there, makes it a whole lot easier to go back and say, oh, yeah, and I need to go out and meet people. I need to create content that is going to help people understand how I help people go from where they are to where they want to be. How I fix their car so that they're able to drive, and why it's so important to have a car that is reliable so that you can achieve the goals that you want to achieve. And I think that piece of it sometimes gets missing, even in a small way, and I think that's one of the challenges sometimes for people who are employees to have focus. Their goal isn't always the same as yours, as the owner or the leader of the team. Their goal might be like, I just want to come in and work because I need to work to pay bills so that I can go out and have fun. And if their end result is fun, what they do during the day is they're not necessarily focused on the things that you want them to accomplish. They're focused on the things that's real for them and what they want to accomplish. And I think when those two things don't align, it's really hard to make sure that we're all focused on the same goal and the same action steps, hopefully to help us achieve those goals. What do you think about that?
I like that. I think there's another piece of this, Tom. I was just thinking as you were speaking of the people I've met over Zoom in the last year and a half, at networking events, at trade shows. There are two groups of people I never thought about until just now. There's a group that's trying to figure it out, and there is a group that is laser focused. Like, you ask them what they're doing, and they're like, I'm helping people between the age of 30 and 33 who are females with 2 or more children figure out how to manage daycare around their life. You're like, whoa, that's weirdly specific. But they have that focus versus the person who says, I'm just trying to help mothers with daycare. There's a difference there, because as you focus, you have more opportunity to really understand a situation and to plug in a solution that is tailored to that group.
Sure.
As we think of focus in terms of our efforts, I think it's also aligning with the focus that you need to have your customer understand what you do. Or if you're a team, if you're in an organization, you need to have your team focused. I always use the example, if 6 people are on a rowboat and they're all rowing in different directions, you're going in circles. You are never getting to the shore, no matter what you do. But when you get them all rowing in the same direction, now you've got some real power, and you're going to get to the shore faster than any one of those people could get there, because you're all working towards the same objective. I see that spot over there. That's where we're going. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges for so many people. They haven't taken the time to sit down and say, where is it I truly want to be? They maybe know what they want to do, but they don't know, like, what does it look like when I'm out there? I can remember when I was looking for jobs, I wasn't crystal clear. And I think by not being at one point I was thinking about, well, do I consult, run my own business? Do I go back to higher ed? Do I work for a nonprofit organization? And I think in that broad sense, it made it really hard to focus on what are the things that I actually want to do and what do I need to do to get there? If you're focusing on 3 different things, you're going to be all over the place in what you were trying.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, right. And it makes it hard to say, okay, this is exactly what I need to do to move forward. I think about, it's funny when you're talking about the people who, this is exactly who they serve. It reminded me of, somebody who sells insurance, and they just say, and you say, well, okay, who are your ideal clients? Well, I could serve anybody. Well, if you're trying to serve anyone or everyone, how do you find messaging that is going to attract everyone? It's so broad that it doesn't allow you to really be clear, not only with yourself, but with those who you're trying to bring on as clients. And so, to me, there's the levels of focus of, I know what the end goal is. It's very focused. And the clearer I am on that, the more focus I can have on what are the different steps I need to take to get there. And it allows you to avoid things like, because if you had that when you started your business, you would not have thought that going to buy office supplies, setting up a bank account, getting a PO box were the 3 critical things that you needed to do. Because they likely weren't going to help you. No. They were byproducts of, hey, once I have all these great clients, I better have those things set up. It's like, yeah, okay, that can happen. And at the same time, somebody can write me a check. I can put it in my personal account and manage it. And so I think that focus is so important as we try to continue to make steps along our own unique pathway. So,
Tom, what's your one thing today?
I don't know that I have that. I think my one thing is that
you've got to. We've done this 434 times.
I know. I thought you were going to say something else that would give me a couple of seconds to.
Oh, well, I can give you mine.
Why don't you do that? Why don't you go first?
I think if you are serious about achieving something, and I'm being completely serious. If it's just a flight of fancy, if it's just something you're thinking about, but you're not really committed to it, that's one thing. But if you're really committed to achieving something, whatever it is, whether it's with your team, I want my team to be, twice as efficient. I want them to double sales. I want them to be a leader in the industry. I want us to win the annual award. Or if you're a company and I want to double my sales. I want to improve our customer service. You've got to know what the end is so that you can be focused. And once you figure out that end, I think the focus comes from saying, okay, what's the next thing I have to do? And so often I look at myself and think, I'm doing something 3 steps ahead. Whereas the thing I need to do right now, and usually the thing I don't do that I should, is the thing I don't want to do, or I don't like doing, or scares the heck out of me.
Sure.
Absolutely. And so Focus is, you know what? If you want the flexibility and the freedom and the fun, you got to have the focus. Those 4F's work together. You can't have the flexibility, freedom, and fun if you can't find the time to focus.
Yeah, and I think, well, thank you for sharing that, because that allowed me to come up with something my own. And I hadn't have thought of this, and I didn't bring up the story about what I was celebrating intentionally. Just sort of happened, kind of like a lot of things on this show. One of the ways to really have focus is to have measurable things that are measurable and timelines. If you don't have those, you don't have a whole lot of focus. You just have concepts that are out there that maybe we'll achieve at some point, and it's kind of fuzzy about what it would even look like to achieve that. And so I think if you really want to have focus, think about, how are you going to measure it? Is it measurable? And when are you going to accomplish it? Because when you know those two things, it makes it a lot easier to set up a plan to achieve it. Or to at least say, and go back to our steps, is I didn't achieve it in the time that I thought, or I didn't achieve the results in the time I thought, which is okay. The results are a moment in time. And we have new knowledge, experience, and perspective now that we didn't have when we started it. And so given that, we might see why we maybe weren't able to accomplish it in the time frame that we thought. So now we have the opportunity to learn from that and then take the next step, refocus what we're doing based on this new information, what's real now. It wasn't real when we decided this 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 6 years ago, when I started my business, however many years ago, because that's what's real now. So how do I refocus and try to determine what's the next step to move forward?
This is difficult. Focus is
Sure.
one of the hardest things that business people and leaders have to work through. It's just, and you may say, well, I have pretty good focus, but I would challenge you, if you're flitting around the day, doing a little of this, doing a little of that, and you're some of these things and some of those things, and you get to the end of the day and it's like you've done 23 things, but you haven't really done that one thing, that might be a challenge to focus. And if that's your situation, Tom and I have worked with lots of people in that boat. We've helped each other through it at various times. So if that's something you're struggling with, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to talk to you about how our day pack might help you. We'd love to talk to you about some of the other things we're doing. So feel free to reach out to us. You can text us, call us. You can find us on LinkedIn. We're pretty easy to find. Just reach out and just have the discussion, because you never know where it might go. But this is not, I don't want anyone to think that, you wave the magic wand and you have focus. It's quite the opposite. And I would tell you, for me, it's intentional every single day. You can't let focus will go away really fast.
Sure.
And it's hard to bring it back when you lose it. And so having our day pack system really, to me, helps me keep that focus day to day.
I would 100% agree. I think that it's, if anyone goes back and looks at anything that they've really tried to accomplish, weight loss, getting in shape, writing a book, all those things that we try to do.
You went there, huh?
Of course. I'm all right. I'm okay calling myself out. I understand. Okay. So there are a lot of things, even if it's like a project that we need to do, is if we don't get laser focused in on it, we're not going to be able to achieve it, at least not in the way we had hoped. That's for sure.
And that's what tends to start leading us towards overwhelm, feeling stuck, frustration.
No doubt.
All those things that you have probably felt at some time in your life and don't know what caused it and don't know the path out of it.
Sure. All right. Well, we hope that we have helped you.
No, we know we've helped you, Tom.
Okay.
We know. Marketing says you're supposed to know conditions. It is you do it.
Do we control whether they actually have that or not?
But we want to give them the belief that we help them. We've got to be confident so they can be confident in us. Come on, Tom. 434 times.
I'm very confident I'm confident in what I share, but what's real for them and how they receive it is I don't know how they're receiving it. Unless I ask somebody how they're receiving it. Correct?
Fair enough.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you being part of our show. Please feel free to leave any comments or any thoughts. And again, rate us if you are listening to our podcast. If that's what you receive, please give back to us with 5-star rating. That would be awesome. Or
share it with a friend.
Or share it with
someone who might benefit from that is struggling with focus. And maybe you can give them the perfect answer that they go, oh, I never thought about focus that way.
Yeah. So thanks so much for being a part of the show today. If you would like to have more conversations like this, please feel free to join us in our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and you can join our exclusive group. All you have to do is ask.
Nice. I knew you'd get there. I've been waiting months for you to figure out you could use the word exclusive.
I like consistency. That's kind of who I am.
Exclusive makes it sound better, though.
Just sounds different.
We have almost 1,100 people in that exclusive group.
We do. Yes. So it's easy to do. Just ask to join. Tell us why you're a renegade, and you can be a part of that growing community where we are helping others and ourselves find our next steps along our own unique pathway to success. So we hope we'll see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If not, we will see you, or you will hear us again tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegade in you.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.